Thank you for coming. I realize this is the first panel of the whole Saturday, but apparently we have a conflict at 11, and that's okay. I won't get my feelings hurt when you all leave. What this is all about, well, let me ask. How many of you know what FreeBabylon5 is all about? Okay, there's a good many. For those of you who don't, this is something that started in September when J. Michael Straczynski, aka Joe, aka JMS, made a series of tweets where just a few days before that, there had been a major mention of Babylon 5 on Breaking Bad, where they were on a stakeout or something, and somebody complained that all their partner could do was talk about Babylon 5 for 3 hours.
No, that's
Well,
awesome.
none of us, we can't relate to that at all.
Not at all.
In fact, 3 hours must have been the length of the stakeout because it seemed short to me. But there's also been several mentions on the Big Bang Theory,
Yeah.
and in the
What's
recent...
wrong with Sheldon?
Right?
Don't worry about it. Sheldon is always wrong about television, so this is a good thing.
He's talking about Firefly, you know, for...
Yeah, exactly. That is exactly my point. He's always wrong about television, so. And then on the recent Samsung Galaxy Gear commercial, we had
Really?
two
Didn't see that.
clips of,
Really?
I'm on it, or I'm getting it, or anyway, they were talking
Oh,
to
that's
their
right.
wrists.
Yeah, that's right. Riscom, yeah.
So anyway, when Joe
To a
was
gathering.
tweeting, he basically said, if there's ever going to be a hope of more Babylon 5 or Blu-ray or anything, we need to increase the fan base. And what was it he said? Oh, I sometimes think instead of Free Mars, it should be Free Babylon 5, which immediately became a hashtag. Which within 24 hours, I had the website for, or the URL for. I registered FreeBabylon5 as a domain, and had set up a Facebook page. Another volunteer set up a Google Plus page, and it's been going on like wildfire. It's definitely not anything just me. It's, all of the fans have started the process of spreading the word, using the hashtag, writing letters, and this is kind of a spoiler, but we've already won. We have Babylon 5 back in reruns in the UK.
Awesome.
It's on Watch TV. I'm not certain of the...
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And they credit the Free Babylon 5 campaign. When you see the trailer, it's got a trailer coming through the jump gate on a soul hunter ship with a banner that says Free Babylon 5. So we've won. We know it can be done. Now all we have to do is get it on in the US in as many places as we can. To do that, we need to keep raising awareness, of course. It's really easy to use a hashtag, but if you look at the postcards I gave you, there's stickers with, oh, absolutely, here, take a bunch. There's stickers with two people that we'd like to have us focus on for writing letters. One is Kevin Sujihara, I'm not sure if I got that right, the CEO of Warner Brothers Entertainment. We're going to do massive letter writing for that. And as a content provider, I think that Bonnie Hammer at NBC Universal is a good person to target.
And do you have, like, on the website what we should be saying to them? Or
We don't have
what
any
we should
single
talk
letter,
about?
but we do have suggestions. We have elements of letters. We have some samples of letters that people have sent in.
What, Bonnie Hammer, what did she work with again?
NBC Universal.
Some card on there.
Yeah.
I would like to get it on iTunes.
We want, well, it is and it isn't. One of the things that we have to overcome is that Warner Brothers is using Babylon 5 for lack of a better word, new technologies. It is available on Amazon and on, it's on YouTube and it's on Hulu.
Netflix, you have to get DVDs.
But they're on at $2 an episode.
Right.
Well, that's not going to get a lot of people who are just casually interested watching it.
Right.
What we need is having it where people can stumble across it. Now, you're absolutely right, having it on Netflix or iTunes is perfect, but we need to have it so that it can be streamed, not at a per episode cost.
Right.
Somehow or another, and I'm hoping that, you know, writing to Kevin will get him into the mindset that we want to spread the word. We want him to make more money. We want him to sell more DVDs. We want to increase the fan base. Would you please make it available to television shows or Netflix, you know, or any streaming site, rather than on a per episode basis as a streaming, you know, part of the subscription, because at one time it was on Netflix under their subscription, and they yanked it. I can see you barely.
Contacted MeTV.
I'm sorry?
MeTV.
Me?
M-E-T-V.
What about it?
They run old shows all the time. That might be.
Okay, that would be somebody else that we can target. That's one of the reasons why we're using the Facebook page. Is one of the things that I really need you guys to do, and as many other people as you can get into it, is to give us contacts. You know, these are two really big people, but the other side of the coin is we want the television stations to ask for it. That's how it happened in the UK. The Watch TV asked for it. And I don't know how true this is. This is strictly rumor, but I'm gonna throw it out there. But I had been told, just when like within a couple of days of the campaign starting, that Watch had asked for the show and been turned down. A couple months later, after this started going on, suddenly it became available. I don't know if this is because of us or if they changed their mind or what, but I'm willing to take the credit for it. And I'm not talking me, I'm talking about everybody who approached the Watch channel. You know, it doesn't have anything to do with me except that I put up the Facebook page. So on our website, which is also, you know, on here, there's what contact information we have already. There's sample letters. There's other things that we've been doing have been, we tried getting our Babylon 5 as the best science fiction show ever. We did a writing campaign for the People's Choice Awards. We didn't make it, but it was fun. You know that everybody is always doing polls about what's this best show, what's that best show. And so when we find out about them, you know, I spread the word and, you know, try and get people to vote us up. There's one on ranker.com right now that we started at like 23. It got all the way up to 5, I think. But Firefly was beating us like crazy.
Have you thought about talking with Claudia Christian and Stephen First and all the?
What I'm going to be doing this weekend, now that I got my magic box of cool stuff, I'm going to make up, I did get them. I'm going to be making up little packets for them with a lanyard and a button and, you know, just a few cute little things, which are also available for sale to benefit Free Babylon 5 down at the table. I'm going to talk to them. Claudia has already been very supportive.
She mentioned it yesterday.
Yeah. Pat has also been supportive. those are the only two that I'm familiar with, but, you know, I'm going to bring them the stuff. If I can even get them to wear the lanyards, I think that's a victory,
Right.
you know.
Have you talked to any of the Babylon stars coming this weekend and have them maybe wear your button or lanyard?
That's what I'm going to be bringing them, just a small little bag of goodies and see if they'll, you know, I'm not going to do a hard sell, but if they'd like to help out, then that's cool. If not, I have no hard feelings. But you guys can always talk it up to them too when you're at their tables, you know. Hey, you know, if you need a lanyard, I can get you one. They're selling them over there. And, you know, speaking of things for sale, basically, while I don't pretend that this campaign is about me in any way, shape, or form, everything that's been done so far has been out of my pocket. And so if you happen to like the idea and can afford it, there's some cute stuff downstairs that are for sale that will help reimburse me. But again, it's not me at all. I've got a really fabulous webmaster, and I'll look up his name as soon as I find my papers that I was actually planning on reading here. His name is Ben Reed, and he did a wonderful job on the website, I think. And, oh, there's one other big thing. Has anybody here heard of Thunderclap? No? Okay, it seems to be fairly new. What this is a way for you guys to share your social contacts on Tumblr, Facebook, or Twitter. Just one time. I've got it set up so that you can add your support now on the website, or the link is on the website. Anyway, I can make sure you can find it. Basically, what you do is you just sign up your support, and on January 15th, we're going to have one great big targeted Facebook, Tumblr, and tweet go out to everybody's contacts. So right now, just for an instance, to show you how this can spread, right now we've got 207 people who have given their support. By doing that, we're going to reach over 47,000 people. Now, I'd be willing to bet that most of you have some friends or online acquaintances that you may have mentioned Babylon5 to, and probably half of them have said, yeah, I've heard of that show. I've always kind of meant to watch it. This might get some more interest going. You know, that's the whole point. But it's also getting people to actually write the letters. You know, that's going way back to the grassroots, to the beginning of Star Trek and everything else, you know. Handwritten letters, of course, being better, you know, original letters being the best. I'm not providing, you know, there's services that, you know, you can click a button and put in your email address and it'll send out a blast. I'm not doing that just because they're so easy for everybody to ignore. But I'm going to make it as easy as I can for you. I've got paper. I've got envelopes. I've even got pretty little note cards. And I've got pens in the stupidest colors you can imagine.
A meeting of Amnesty International.
I'm sorry?
A meeting of Amnesty International. Babylon5. Where everyone sits and writes.
I'm sorry?
Where everyone sits and writes letters.
Get them a meeting?
No. I was making a reference.
Oh, okay, sorry. But what we're, you know, as an incentive, while, you know, your adrenaline is up and you're all enthusiastic for this, if you want to write a letter and put it in an envelope and drop it off at our table, which is G02 in the main floor. Yeah, it's directly to your right as you walk in the door. If you want to drop it off at our table, we are going to have a drawing for a door prize, which we have yet to determine. But I promise, we have a door prize. And I'll even do the postage. You know, I've got everything. I'm not going to read your letters, just write your letters, drop them off, you know. I'm not even going to look at the addresses, so if you want to, you know, if you owed a letter to your Aunt Fanny, that's fine. I prefer it to be to one of these guys, but, you know, whatever you think is best, I'm fine with it. And then we will have a drawing. I've got some Post-its there so you can put your email address or your cell phone so that if it's drawn, then I'll go ahead and know who to contact. You don't have to be present to win. Over here on the table also, along with these pretty funky pens, we're going to be starting a newsletter soon. I have only just begun to get the shape of it, and I have to learn how to deal with Constant Contact. If any of you know Constant Contact or how to do a newsletter and want to volunteer, I will be your new best friend. But meanwhile, you know, if you want to leave your email, if you don't hang out on Facebook and everything all that much, please feel free to give us your email. I promise it will never be sold or any yicky things happening to it. You know, it's the very infancy of the idea, and so that's what's going on so far. What do you think?
Yay.
Now, what do you think we should do? Go ahead.
Is there any talk about a news series, kind of like what they did with Battlestar Galactica?
Yes and no. A couple of years ago, and there was a very serious, came like that close to there being a reboot of Babylon 5.
Wow.
Now, for you who don't know the background, several years ago, after The Lost Tales, Joe had drawn the line in the sand with Warner Brothers when they wouldn't increase the budget for a second one, and said, no, you know, I need to increase the legacy, not decrease it. I'm not going to do any more low budget stuff. If you want it done, it's going to be on a sufficient budget. I'm going to have total creative control, and it'll either be a big budget movie or it'll be a full season order of a TV series. Other than that, don't call me, is what he said. Well, they called him. They had a new venue of distribution, don't know anything about it, but they did give him creative control, a good budget, and a full season order. All that it was contingent on is the new venue, and that fell apart at the very last moment. So what he did next was very interesting. A lot of people know that Joe owns the movie rights to Babylon 5. But the movie rights aren't a lot of good without the TV rights. Who's going to finance a $60 million movie and not be able to sell it to television? So he did do some negotiating that started out well but petered out to try and buy the rights to Babylon 5. So apparently that seems to be dead in the water. And so now I think it's up to us to say, Warner Brothers, quit messing around. We want this. We want new Babylon 5. We want it in Blu-ray. We want all sorts of things. And we're willing to work for it. We're willing to go out and help you increase your fan base. And let's see what happens.
Has Joe thought about talking with NCM with their Fathom events? Because he said he's got film rights, but he doesn't have the distribution rights.
He has the feature film rights.
So what he could do is he could contact NCM, because they do releases in theaters, limited releases in theaters all across the country. And what they do is they stream it to the projectors in movie theaters. And then he doesn't even have to worry about TV because they're being played in theaters. Then he has full film rights, and he could do that. That could be a possibility.
That's an idea. Okay. Can you write something up about that and let me have it?
Sure.
Okay. I'm not in any huge contact with Joe at all, but I mean, it might be something that can be discussed publicly where you might see it. You know, but yeah, that's an excellent idea. You know, any ideas that you guys have, you know, the thunderclap or what you might do. One idea that was thrown out a couple days ago, which I think is excellent and I'd love to do it, but I don't know how I could actually, I could coordinate it, but there's no way I could do it. One suggestion was to get people to put in, you know, to do a small flash mob in front of television stations. You know, I'd love to do something like that. I'd love to be able to get on the local news and say, hey, this is what's going on, and I would really love to do something like that. So if anybody wants to volunteer as a city captain, let me know. I will give you my email address. Actually, my email address is very, very simple. It's FreeBabylon5@AOL.com. Not terribly original, I know, but what other ideas does anybody have? Come on. How many letters are you gonna write? Thanks. I know you've written a bunch already. Come on. Anybody going to write letters this weekend?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much for putting this together.
Yeah.
I've seen some of the more, there are still new cable channels popping up every now and then. And it just surprised me, last week I saw, there was a new one on my system called Pivot, which is
Somebody
running
mentioned that.
Farscape reruns.
Really?
Going, Farscape?
Really?
That's awesome.
Actually, Farscape is a great
I love
show.
Farscape.
I know.
Yeah.
First, it's awesome.
But let's do
But
that
it's still
one.
not Babylon 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, another thing.
But
that-
I think
Well,
if we
they-
just really work on a target list of cable channels of that kind of new upstart
that is a good
focus,
idea.
and find who the program directors are for those
Right.
channels that are hungry for good content that they could
Right, yeah.
get
Yeah.
affordably.
He's,
So Pivot
I saw that, I
TV.
went to Austin
channel.
Comic Con and they had Robert Rodriguez, he's putting together a cable channel called El Rey.
Really?
Oh, what?
I think it's called El Rey.
Where are they gonna be based out of?
I think it's on the, I don't remember exactly what it is, but it's like his own cable network that he's gonna have for probably DirecTV or whatever. But it's basically, they're gonna show like some Dusk Till Dawn and
Yeah.
just all kinds of offbeat.
Mariachi, all that, yeah.
TV shows and stuff like that, so that's another one that I saw that.
It's called El Rey?
El Rey. It's, like I said, Robert Rodriguez, and I think it's starting either in January or February is when it's gonna start, and they're gonna, like I said, they're doing, I think they're actually doing their own TV series too, based on the Dusk Till Dawn series, I believe.
Okay, yeah, the other one I had thought of is the Science Channel. Just recently, well, several times, has run Firefly. And from what I understand, got a very good reception to it. So Babylon 5 has a lot more science than Firefly does. I think they would be a good one to target. We do have, I'm pretty sure that we do already have contact information for the Science Channel up on the webpage. If not, then I'll work on getting it up there. I'll look for Pivot and this doesn't have to be, you know, I tend to target US because I'm in the US, and I don't, know the vagaries of overseas TV. But if anybody does and can clue me in and give me contact information for various places in any country in the world, I'm open to it, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I just wanted to suggest. I'm from Europe, from Slovakia. We have Babylon5 on one of the private channels in our country, and due to Free Babylon, we started a small, campaign writing letters to the executives, because they have right now a second channel, which they do reruns of old shows, and they rerun the next generation of Star Trek right now.
Yeah.
And they did it previously on the main channel when it was spread in the 90s. They ran Star Trek and afterwards they ran Babylon 5. So we started kind of maybe the history repeating itself and afterwards kind of Babylon 5 what we will see. But I think that's a good idea because if international fans come to that FreeBabylon5 page, they could actually see what different channels, executives or contacts they could write to
Right.
in their own country. So that would be
Absolutely.
great. Yeah.
And we've got, it's still very in its infancy, but we have a plan to have a map of the world so that people can see where it's on in reruns now. It's a very blank map right now. You know, we've got those pay-per-view, you know, on Amazon and everything, and we've got Watch TV in the UK, and I think we may have the one that you're talking about, but I'm not sure. So if you could post it to the Free Babylon 5 Facebook page, we can make sure that Ben gets it up. You know, it's, you know, I think it would be really cool to see the map start filling in. You know, that's an interactive that I can get behind. So.
The other thing, when we moved up to San Antonio from our little town, Victoria, they had the Alamo Draft House in San Antonio, and at one point, I don't know if they still do it, the Browncoats, they were doing like once a month, they were showing an episode of Firefly in order. And I don't know, maybe the Draft House, you could do something similar to that, you know, like have a viewing party, I guess, for lack of a better word, and bring new people and say, hey, here's episode, maybe not the pilot, but maybe episode 1 of the first season or something.
Right.
Or pick one of the.
Season 2, let's
Yeah,
start.
season 2.
We're
Something
doing
like
that.
that, yeah.
Okay, that could be a heck of a debate. We're gonna leave.
That's a debate for another forum, I think.
Let's just say we'll leave it to the local people who set it up, okay? Whatever they decide is best
Sorry, I
for
didn't mean to
their
start a
board.
I think if you're going to do episode 2 or season 2, I think the Coming of Shadows would probably be the episode to start with because that's where it kind of it would throw in, you know, like here's what the conflict is, and you know, it had a lot of good stuff in it. It was kind of a recap episode, sort of.
Yeah, not bad.
Which reminds me, in terms of organizing people to do things about this, in addition to leveraging the Facebooks and other social media, I think one of the other channels to leverage is meetup.com.
Meetup.com?
Are you familiar with Meetup?
No.
Oh,
Meetup is a website that's good for organizing people to do face-to-face, in-person events. So most cities have several meetup groups, and anybody can organize a meetup group around any common interest. So in Austin, I run a meetup group called Austin Geeks and Gamers,
oh.
which now has almost 800 members.
Nice.
And we've actually done, I've hosted Best of Babylon 5 gatherings at my house in the past. So those
Where do you
groups
live?
can be in Austin.
Austin?
How do you
Okay.
decide?
You're our
How do you
Austin captain.
decide? Do you like draw lots?
I dug out the old
I'm just joking.
Lurker's
but-
Guide Poll 5 results.
Okay, I'm just joking.
And no,
Best
it was
of.
a difficult
But-
decision.
right?
I had to break it into 4 nights.
Then you
So,
oh, okay, I was gonna say how
A
many
dozen
nights and how many,
episodes
a dozen.
to get
yeah.
just the really absolute best of the best.
Right.
So,
Okay, yeah,
That's what
that's a great idea, and that's the sort of thing where local cells can really make a difference and, you know, drag all their friends in. How many of you have 2 sets of DVDs, one to lend and one to watch? I don't think, I'm sure
Lynn.
that,
Linda, who?
I have the tape and the CD.
that counts.
Yeah, they're all the tape. That makes me feel better. Live on the VHS.
Oh,
I don't know.
Lord.
But I only lend to those restaurants. It doesn't go far.
I can't say I blame you, I can't say I blame you. But is it Meetup, MEETUP?
N-E-E-T-U-P.
Okay, .com.
Meetup.com.
All right.
Anybody else here belong to meetups?
Yeah.
Any meetups?
Yeah, some different ones here, yeah.
Harry Potter meetup group, they have a table probably near yours in the meetup group.
Oh, okay,
And
all right.
the Zawala's, ship of this Darkly is also sort of a meetup group as well. I remember something there.
Okay, excellent. Yeah,
Yeah, you can do about anything. I mean, there's meetups about, one meetup for a Doctor Who group, a meetup, but a meetup like Houston Arts Group, you know, the Houston Museum of Fine Arts, people that they go as groups and tour, do the tour. There's meetups about anything and everything.
okay. Cool.
Biking, I mean, you name it. Name it.
Well,
There's a meetup group about
there
it.
is a Babylon 5, you know, small fan club called the League of Non-Aligned Knitters. So. Who says it has to all just be about space?
Right?
That's a great idea, thanks. I'll follow that up. What else?
Me TV, I mentioned earlier.
Me TV?
Uh,
Is that Me TV, like, is there a website or just do
It
it
is
Google for
a
Me
cable
TV?
channel. It's a real channel.
Okay.
Those are its initials, I think it's, something entertainment that, I
Okay.
can't remember the initials, I'm sorry.
All right, yeah, definitely worth a shot.
Now, is it only focusing efforts on getting, more television or movie content, or is there also a focus on getting licensed product like video games, role-playing games, card games? And the licensed product, I think, could help generate more interest as well. Speaking personally, I got into the show because of the card game stuff.
Oh, okay. I know that that would be an excellent venue. I think it's very early on for now. It's been a while, but last I heard, Warner's license for Babylon 5, anything, is really, really high for a show that's been off the air for 1,000,000 years. Which makes it difficult. But again, if we can grow the fan base, we can go to them and say, you'd be stupid if you didn't do this. I mean, there are fans who are ready.
Well, we've already concluded that Warner is stupid. That's
That's a gift.
that's a given.
Okay, well, I'm not going to say that on tape, but you can. Warner's has a very unusual business model. I don't understand it, but then I don't understand most corporations. So, you know, I'm just going to assume that it's a me thing. But yeah, I mean, there are fans out there doing, recreating CGI and doing mods for games. And I think that there's definitely a hunger out there for it. People are regularly asking on the forums whether there's an MMO. And, you know, the interest is there, the hunger is there, you know. We all love this show, and we would love to see it become, I don't think we want it to become another Star Trek, but we want it to become at least increased in the cultural consciousness. I'm tired of being a bad joke on Big Bang Theory. You know, Breaking Bad wasn't exactly a bad joke, but there was another show, I forget what it was, you know, again, it was a nerdy joke. And we're not a nerdy joke. Babylon 5 is a fabulous television show. You know, one of the few that increases your enjoyment the more often you see it. So, you know, I just, anyway, I think I'm preaching to the choir. So if anybody does have contacts at Netflix or can find it for Netflix, Hulu, etc., I don't have any problem with us writing to them and asking what needs to be done to convince Warner Brothers to let them have it again. You know, but part of our letters to Warner's might be, hey, can you please make this available to television shows, to the Netflix subscribers? You know, not just the $2 an episode, because nobody's going to pay $2 an episode for a show they've never seen before. It's not a lot of money, but
There's a lot of episodes.
Yeah.
110 episodes, that's-
I know when I bought the DVDs, I saw the $2 per episode, I was like, forget it, I'll buy the DVDs.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Can you find the DVDs anymore?
I
Oh,
got them
sure,
on Amazon.
sure.
I mean, I have all 5 seasons, but just, you know, I have Best Buy or whatever, I don't remember what it
You can still buy them new on Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're on Amazon, they're in
I don't think Best
Walmart
Buy
and
store shops carry them.
Sam's. And,
Fry's.
Amazon has them on sale fairly regularly.
I just want to say, a friend of mine just recently got them on half.com. You
Okay.
get an entire season for about $10.
Nice, okay. Yeah. So buy up extra seasons and lend them to your friends, even the ones you don't trust. Yeah. So many times when I mention that I'm a Babylon 5 fan, it's, oh yeah, I've heard of that, but I've never seen it. It's, oh yeah, isn't that like Star Trek? Yes, it is.
Watch Deep Space Nine and see how many ideas they borrow from us.
What else? What else can we do?
I made a call to Netflix to bring back a couple shows recently, and they made it with no problem. And I didn't even complain like that. I just, said, I've been watching this in the 90s, and then you guys just took it away from me. And then they're like, okay, we'll have it back on tomorrow. So possibly, if we make a call to them, then they'll bring it back on, or on to start with.
Is there a phone number you can give me?
I can look it up on my phone right now.
Okay. Because I'll put that up on Facebook.
I'll call. I'll call it once.
Yeah. Yeah, we just need to get
Takes
Warner
forever to
Brothers
watch
off
the
of
whole
this
thing.
$2 an episode thing. I can't imagine that they have that many people going for it. But, I mean, I wouldn't do that unless I had a scratch on the DVD that spoiled, a late delivery from Avalon.
Is there anywhere you can visually download it?
Okay.
To legally download it, only through the $2 an episode thing. You can download it through YouTube, as far as I know, and from Amazon. But it's the $2 an episode.
And actually, that might be Amazon. Amazon might be, it might be worthwhile to contact Amazon and say, hey, can you put this in your free with Prime or something, in there? Because that might, they may have just licensed it from Warner Brothers, and they're charging the $2 an episode. So.
They are pushing their Prime to their Prime customers so they can stream online, so that might be a good thing to.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I think the whole cable TV model is on the way out in favor of the subscription Netflix service model.
That's what a lot of people have been
So I think
telling
our
me.
best point of pressure is any service that has a good recommendation engine, where they can tell if you like Star Trek, if you like Firefly, hey, look at this other series that you may not have seen before, like a Netflix will do. And I think, rather than disperse among 24 different possible little ways, if we can sharpen our focus to say, let's all talk to Netflix, let's all talk to Amazon, and do that as
We can do it in waves.
once you've got all of us, once you communicate with all of us, then you can coordinate for all of us to say, okay guys, next week I want all of you to call, send an email, drop a note to Netflix so they get it in such a large volume that somebody there has to notice, hey, somebody out there really is caring.
That's a good idea.
It's a shotgun approach is not going to be as effective as a laser rifle.
If people know their local channels, I'm perfectly okay with them doing that on their own,
Yeah.
the smaller local channels. But yeah, for something like Netflix and Amazon, I think that having it focused, and I could think of a couple of cute ways, but let's do it in waves. Right now, we're going to do Kevin and Bonnie. And then next week we may do something else, and I'm sorry, you.
Yeah. I've recently kind of subscribed to, I got myself a Roku box.
Right.
And there are a number of sci-fi channels on there that are sort of hit and miss. But I was wondering, I was probably going to get in touch with some of these smaller sci-fi channels and see if they're hungry enough to go ahead and get licensing for something like Babylon 5. And then from there, we can actually point new people to that, if that's the only service they've got. Or if they have, in addition to their step up like sci-fi used to.
Okay, all right. Yeah, absolutely, anybody you can find a contact for, you know, let me know where you are. Please feel free to have them contact me. I'm not exactly sure, you know, if I'm the perfect representative, but right now I'm Olive Dodd. So.
Have you considered FX, cable channel?
FX is definitely one, yes. Yeah, I think we have, I'm almost sure that we do have the contact information for them up on the website. Yeah,
That might be a good place to start,
okay.
because they did actually run it for years and years.
Right.
Kept getting earlier and earlier and earlier.
What I want to do just for January, for the 20th anniversary of the first episode, which is January 26th, by the way, is the Thunderclap is going out on January 15th, which gives people plenty of time to write letters. And then I'd like all the letters that we're going to write here, and that you're going to get all of your friends and relatives to write, if we can get those to land, you know, on or near the 26th at NBC Universal and at Kevin's desk in Warner Brothers. I really think that that would be something that may end up being newsworthy. You know, if we can make a big enough splash, then we can do things like, the newsletter is great with us, but we can also do, if we can start making a name for ourselves, the way the Browncoats have so many times, is to start doing media, I just lost the word.
Media bits.
Yeah, press releases, thank you. Doing press releases to let them know what we're doing and where we're going to be, you know. That might be something that, you know, for these little baby flash mobs, you know, which I would dearly love to see. You know, let's all go out to this channel and, you know, FreeBabylon5. But we'll see. You started to say something. No? Okay. What else? What can you do to help? Wouldn't you want to be part of the prep? How would you feel if you actually could be pointed to and said, I did something to help bring back the show? That's really worthwhile, isn't it? And the thing is, we've already done it in the UK. We know it can be done. And apparently it can be done pretty easily because it all happened within 2.5 months of the campaign starting. This is all very, very new. This whole thing started on September 2nd at about 3 o'clock in the morning because that's the way Joe works.
There's something about Browncoats earlier. They have a lot of groups in San Antonio and stuff like that where I'm from, but they didn't bring back the TV series, but they did a lot of comic book stuff and like Serenity and,
right.
and all that kind of stuff. And they're also working on an animated series right now.
Oh, are they?
If we wanted to do something like that, I'm sure it would be a lot easier to bring everything together. And, you know, there's definitely age differences, so it would have to be like a 15 years later kind of deal.
Yeah. I'm so very envious of the Browncoats. They're so organized and so good at getting the message out. I really wish I could, you know, find some of them to study. Here, can I turn you over and shake out your pockets and find out all your ideas? I mean, a lot of what they do is working for charity, and this is fabulous. You know, I don't think we're quite ready for that yet, but, you know, again, going back to local chapters, I think that if we were to do the meetups and things like that, we might get there. We might get there. And Babylon 5 fans are very independent sorts, but you know, if Babylon 5 was about anything, it was about the power of one voice to make a difference. And I really think that this is our time to really try and do something.
And do remember, it was 10 years after the original series got canceled before the first movie hit and Star Trek.
Mhm.
So we're about at that timeline.
Yeah, the main problem the main difference between the B5 and the Star Trek scenario is that almost from immediately when Star Trek was canceled for lousy ratings, they went into syndication. They were on every UHF channel that there was, probably 4 times a day, because there really wasn't that much in syndication right then. And that was where they actually grew their fan base. And, you know, we've had a lot of support from, you know, I'm working at the actors and everything, but how many of you are familiar with the Babylon 5 books? Okay. They've been incredibly supportive of us. Lieutenant Brandon back here, he created a special free Babylon 5 t-shirt that is a work of art. I hope you got it, because I only allowed it to be sold during November, because Jenny is also selling t-shirts to benefit charity. So, but the B5 Books people have been incredibly supportive. They did this shirt that Brandon designed all by himself, and during November also they gave a donation to Free Babylon 5 with the sale of the B520 books, and that was incredibly generous of them. And they're probably going to be giving me the door prize that we have just barely discussed. So let me put Brandon on the spot there. I'm sorry, Brandon, there was something else I was supposed to mention, and I don't remember what, except that I know he's going to be able to, you can find him, he's going to be hanging around our table at G2, so what else?
We have books.
Huh?
We have books.
You have books, yes. He's got the B520 book, which if you haven't seen it, you want to see it.
It's pretty.
It's the B5.
It's a huge coffee table book with some
talking-
really gorgeous photography in it.
Yes, yes, gorgeous
Go see
photography.
it.
Go buy it.
There's a copy of it.
And I think they've got a few sets of the Black series and the Echoes series too.
Oh.
They're,
Are you saying they wrote more past the, because I read the Psychor trilogy and
no, these are not fiction books.
Oh.
No, the B5 books started out with publishing Joe Straczynski's Babylon 5 scripts with his own commentary. And then we did the Other Voices books, which was the other authors. Then we've done some really good interviews books called The Echoes of All Our Conversations. And we did a chronology book. Just some really cool stuff. You need to check out the website at b5books.com. But yeah, unfortunately, we haven't gotten into any fiction yet. Would that we could. We wish that we could even reprint all of the short stories and everything, even the novels, but we can't. We don't have the rights for that.
Who does? Who does own the rights to that?
Probably the publishers that don't exist anymore, sadly. Yeah, the short stories in particular, as far as I know, and I'm no expert on it, the magazines that published them had the rights and they don't exist anymore, so unraveling that might be difficult. So. Anyway, back to ideas, local things, thunderclaps. What you got for me? Come on. What's a channel in each of your neighborhoods that you would think would be receptive? Sci-fi?
That's all I can think of.
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be, yeah, it doesn't have to be a national channel, but yeah, it's definitely one we should how do they spell it now? S-Y.
S-Y-F-Y. Sippy.
Yeah.
They don't deserve it.
True. You know, but there's a lot of little cable channels in the, you know, in your neighborhoods. I mean, my cable channel has 3 or 4 channels that are dedicated to the really old shows. You know, you can watch Dick Van Dyke and Andy and Mayberry and you know, black and white doesn't scare them. Twilight Zone, well, Twilight Zone was on Sci-Fi this week, but anything else?
I know one of the things that came up in Phoenix was that, I mean, there are second generation fans now who are discovering the show through their parents and through the DVDs. And they're very active on Tumblr, for example, is one place. And so that is, I'm not sure if there's a way that that can be utilized in terms of showing Warner Brothers or showing the television stations that there is actually a second generation of fans who are very active, who are enjoying the show and loving it, and they're finding it because they're watching it on their parents' DVDs, but that there is actually an audience for it, so that if you did put it onto television, it's not like it's a dead show. There would actually be an audience
Right,
for
yeah,
it.
it's a growing audience, and that's an excellent point. Sir?
With the second generation, a lot of them are more into video games. I know that there's a whole universe built off of the older free space engine that's been released in the open source that's based on Babylon 5. And that might be a way as well to reach the younger generations, to get them interested in and get them going with the game and be more interested in the actual shows and movies as well, to bring that desire back for it.
Would that require a licensing agreement with Warner?
It's all open, well, I don't know. Right now it's all
It
open.
doesn't complete conversion mods for lots of things, like X-Universe, they're making one right now.
There's one for Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, they do it for Stargate,
Yeah.
Babylon 5.
In a lot of cases, and I'm certainly no lawyer or anything, but back in the day when a lot of Babylon 5 websites were showing up, Joe kind of went to bat because Paramount at the time was being kind of idiots about it and sending out cease and desist letters. Joe went to bat for the fans and said, and kind of made an unofficial agreement that as long as the proper copyrights and indica is right there, you know, front and center and proper, that for the most part Warner Brothers leaves you alone, you know. What I wanted to ask is, on Tumblr, I don't know anything about Tumblr, and I really can't use the bandwidth for another, you know, I do Twitter and Facebook, and that's enough for me. What is Tumblr, and who can educate me or can, you know, take over?
I don't like Tumblr. It's just a bunch of pictures. You post pictures instead of blogs or whatever. You do
Okay.
picture blogs.
Well, I know a lot of fans do Babylon 5 fan fiction on them, and I'm not a big fan fiction person, but
It's amazing. I mean, the fan fiction for Babylon 5 is great. I read a musical that was basically written in song and every character.
don't forget to write your letters.
And
Drop them off at the table.
Y'all are on Facebook?
Facebook is FreeBabylon5.
FreeBabylon5?
Right.
Okay, and then you just, can I join up there on Facebook?
It's an open group, yes.
Okay.
What about the Twitter?
Twitter is, I actually don't control that one, but, yeah, Jenny does, and anything, you know,
Hashtags.
use the hashtags, definitely.
One of the big things, I work in a business, and one of the things we get to advertise for the music school is word of mouth and social media. That's the best way to get an audience.
Right, yeah, I definitely know that that's the way to go, and, you know, that was one reason why I grabbed the website and the Facebook page is before anybody could start monetizing it. You know, you know, if somebody had come along and said, you know, hey, I can do this better, I just said, hey, great. Yeah, this is definitely learning as you're going for me, but, you know, I think that just the one suggestion that we're already going with the Thunderclap, I think that's going to be fabulous. And I'm really hoping that a lot of people this weekend will take a look at that and support it. And, yeah, just sit in front of you so you can't see my glowing face. But yeah, one of the things that Joe said is that we need to get loud and we need to get organized. I think the Thunderclap is going to bring us the loud. I think that's going to be really great. But the organized, Babylon 5 fans just have never been organized. So, you know, anybody who can think of a way to, you know, herd cats, I'd love to hear it.
Have you thought about an email campaign? Because I know a lot of people, you know, it's easier for me to do an email. I would like probably dash it off right now, send it.
Right.
Than trying to write a letter and get it to the post office.
If you look at the, yeah, I have no problem with that at all. If you look at the website, we have contacts with email addresses. We have contacts without email addresses.
Yeah.
We have some URLs with feedback forms to fill out.
Like do it on a day, ask everybody on this day, just everybody, while you're reading this, just send it off. You know, if you get like a whole lot of them, that might help too. It's
Right.
just
Yeah.
trying to mail stuff is, yeah, I don't know, I'm lazy, I get in my purse and it sits there.
Well, that's why
you
I
know.
brought paper and pens and I'll do
No,
the
just
stamps.
saying, you know, in the future, you know, because if we're going to your website and you see something, it's like, okay, I'm online right now, I'm reading this, I'm gonna go ahead and send the email now.
Yeah,
It's just a suggestion.
It is, and it's a good one. I think what my unofficial plan, for lack of a better word, is to do things in waves for now. You know, concentrating on these two for the month of January, and then, you know, we might pick like 5 or 6 to do emails. You know, we don't want to do too shotgun, you know, scattergun, but we also want to get the word out to, you know, as many people as possible. So, I don't know, you know, maybe snail mail letters one month and email letters the next month, and, you know, really using the hashtag the next month. There's so many ways we can do it, but the idea is to get the word out, and for now, I think the Tumblr is going to really help that, because pretty sure there's probably friends of yours that may not even know that you're a Babylon 5 fan, you know. I don't think there's any friends of mine that don't know I'm a Babylon 5 fan. Not everybody is quite as obsessed as I am. You know, and I really think that that might just, you know, be one of really good ways. But, you know, having an email newsletter, if you want to sign up for that. It's still in its infancy, but I promise I'm never going to spam you. You know, if I'm going to send out a newsletter, it'll be, hey, we won this one, or hey, we're targeting this, you know. Or, hey, so-and-so came up with a really great idea, you know. At some point, we may want to do forums so that we can actually discuss things. You know, the Facebook page, I try and bring as much over onto the main page as possible, but I didn't really know what I was doing when I was setting it up. So while everybody's posts do show, it's not equally weighted. You actually kind of have to look for them, and I don't like that, but I didn't know what I was doing. You had something?
I was just gonna say, hand out the paper.
Huh?
Let's hand out the paper and the pen.
Okay, paper. Who wants pretty notepads?
Here's something though, on Facebook, I'm not sure if there's a fan group page, so maybe that might be something that we can use to gather online as a base.
There's several Babylon 5 pages on, oh yeah.
Okay, because I tried to tag it when I was, you know, saying,
Yeah.
and I couldn't tag anything.
Oh.
So it was like,
Yeah, I moderate one. There's another one that is really nice group. that is much more of an open group where everybody's comments and everything are available and discussable, more so than on the FreeB5 page. But I can think of 4 right off the top of my head.
Okay.
So
Which one, what's the title for yours?
Babylon 5.
That's it?
That's it?
Actually, two, reach out to Babylon5. One is a page and one is a group.
You're volunteered. Hand these out. Take some pens. Anybody with normal paper? We have normal paper.
I do have some normal paper.
I'll email also.
Oh, yes.
We have normal paper, we have envelopes, we have the clipboard for you to sign up for the email if you want.
I'll get on the, find as many of those meetup groups as possible, see if they have anything.
That would be great. I like that idea a lot.
Like wide readings of the wheels.
Yeah, exactly. Here's some paper for you.
Okay.
Yes.
Is this also in Houston or?
Huh?
Are you working in Houston?
No, I'm actually in Orlando.
Oh, okay.
We also have the clipboard in the police, writing letters.
Oh, okay.
We also have the clipboards down at the table too.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
What do you suggest that we write?